Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. And I'm going to be honest with you, I got a question. I read something today that made me think. And I said, maybe we should do a little deep dive into this. Because this whole Stanionis and Virgil Ortiz, the bout that wasn't able to materialize because you had one fighter pulling out from some kind of illness, another fighter pulling out because of some appendicitis, fight dates getting pushed back, rescheduled, and at the end of the day, a fight that all of us boxing fans wanted to see. You know, I call a fight when two guys come straight forward and collide, I call it a mashup crashup. This was a fight, must-see TV. Kind of like us talking about Ngannou and Deontay Wilder getting in the ring. That's a mashup crashup. You know somebody's going to get hurt in that fight. Same thing with Stanionis and Virgil Ortiz. These are two guys, very intelligent, outstanding amateur backgrounds, done great as amateurs. Another one was in the Olympics. But let me tell you something. I can't understand why this fight didn't happen. So I read something today where somebody was giving Stanionis the business. And they were suggesting that Stanionis continued to find ways to get out of fights. Because Stanionis may have been doping. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have any reason to believe Stanionis was doping. I don't have any reason to believe Virgil Ortiz was doping, right? This is just a conversation because these are things that have been, well, first you had somebody post some crap with Stanionis and they were going back and forth. The other thing is with Virgil Ortiz, we all know the Flair Cobb, the best boxer today. Y'all know he this whole thing with what is it, man? They just call it Rabdo, right? This whole thing with Rabdo. Blair Cobb went out there, man, and he did a deep dive and came up that, some of the side effects of steroids is this rhabdomyolysis. Now, there's no proof of anything about Virgil Ortiz taking steroids, but that's why I wanted to do this video. Because when I started to really think about it, I said, damn, if you have a fighter who has a urinalysis coming up, or, they're coming to take a blood sample from you for a fight, I would think whether they pull out the fight or not, they should still have to give some kind of sample, whether it's blood or urine. But the question is, right, if a fighter knows that he's been taking something, and he knows that for some reason, maybe that stuff isn't quite out of his system, and he has a big fight coming up, and he knows now he has this random blood and urine testing thing going on, would they find a way to wiggle themselves out? Now, with Stanionis, right, this is the thing with him. This guy was supposed to fight, was trying to fight Earl Spence, trying to get a shot at the winner of Spence and Crawford. This is going on a couple of years now with Stanionis and not getting opportunities, supposedly, and getting paid step-aside money. And so I was sitting here thinking, damn, because, I had like a one-way track mind sometimes. And I'm like, damn, they're doing him wrong. I know he got some step-aside money, another opportunity to fight. All of a sudden, he's not getting that opportunity. Another opportunity to fight. Something going on with Virgil Ortiz. Stanionis just came out here, went life and death with Bultiev and got the win. Ever since then, this man hasn't been able to get back in the ring. That's horrible how the secret society is doing Stanionis. But when I stop and start thinking about it now, I'm like, well, hold on a second. That's a long time to just be okay with not fighting anybody. This is the thing. I don't know anything about the contracts. And I'm going to tell you right now, nobody out here creating content knows about no damn contracts. When these guys are out here talking like it's a fact, this is all bullshit. Like, I'll tell you, man, I have conversations. I'll tell you just with me and my experience coming from a project manager background and an aircraft maintenance planning background, right? And dealing with a lot of contracts to send aircraft off to depot facilities, to work with engineers on maintenance assistance requests, technical assistance requests, and just understanding doc statements, capability statements, and understanding contracts and and the explicit language in there, right? The guys who are creating content, no one's gonna give them the goddamn contract for them to read over so they can come to you and act like they're speaking fact. So what you'll hear people say is, I can't disclose my source. You know why they can't disclose it? Because they're full of shit, okay? So when I tell you I don't know what the contract states when it comes to Stanionis, Ortiz, and whatever the step-aside money was for Stanionis and for Spence to go forward and fight Yugas, what I will tell you is this. I can't see there being a contract, right, for Stanionis and Virgil Ortiz to where Stanionis is okay with being in a holding pattern for over a year. He missed the first opportunity. Ortiz was an issue. Second opportunity, he was an issue. Now here it is. He has no opportunity because the Keith Thurman fight fell apart now. But Virgil Ortiz has a fight scheduled in January. How is it Stanionis is okay with all that? That's my question. It's at a point now to where I'm looking at Stanionis and his team like, hey, why aren't you putting this guy out there to fight? After coming off of, I would say a huge win against a beast in Butev. But y'all can't put this man in the ring? I get it. Maybe a year, back and forth contracts, secret society, politics of boxing. I get it. But all of a sudden now, this man still don't have a fight date? Something's off. And this whole thing with Keith Thurman, it makes me wonder if that shit was even, or there's any truth to that. Why scrap the Keith Thurman Stanionis fight? That's a bigger fight than having David Morrell headline a fight on December 16th. The December 9th fight date, that has to go away. Okay, cool. Just put Keith Thurman and Stanionis on the 16th. Oh, well, there may not be any money for that fight. Something, you understand? Something's not right there. So I'm trying to make sense of it, and I can't. But it's the fact that somebody suggested that, hey, guys may not be taking fights because they got that shit in their system, and they're not taking, they're not giving blood and urine samples. Now, according to some of these fighters, they're giving blood and urine samples. But my thing is that even possible for a fighter to say, shit, I got this stuff in my system, man. I can't be playing around with giving anything. And they find a way to wiggle out of it. I would think there'd be some kind of ramifications. I just don't think they would be allowed to play the system like that. Okay, so that's my thing with Stanionis now, is trying to understand how is it that he, at some point in time, I would think that a fighter would draw the line in the sand and say, hey, he's from Lithuania. Hey, you know what? My fighter needs to stay active. We're going to take a little stay busy fight against Hans over here, the guy from down the road who's a professional boxer locally in Lithuania. And we're just going to go in there and just knock the rust off. Just stay sharp. Same with Helenius had a fight there in Finland. He had a fight there in Finland, just knocking the rust off after he lost to Deontay Wilder. A week later, he fought Anthony Joshua. The stars just lined up. But he knew that for him to come back and take a big fight, it probably wouldn't happen. But he stayed active. So why didn't Stanionis do that? I don't know how long it takes to heal up from appendicitis. But just to see him now, I would think before the end of the year, him and his team need to do something. Now we talk about Virgil Ortiz. We know that's just a horror story right there. Talk about him. See, there's so many things that could have caused the rhabdomyolysis with Virgil Ortiz. Hey, Steroids it is a side effect of steroids. Side effect of extreme weight loss. A side effect of overworking your body. You know what I'm saying? That's why that workout to rest cycle is extremely important. And that's just what they've told us about him, is he's just a workhorse. And according to his father, his son has just basically has grinded himself down to where all of a sudden now he's having issues which could become like a life or death thing. Now, this is the thing with me, right? It happened the first time. No problem. You learn from that and you go forward. But it happens a second time. How's it happen the second time? Now here it is. Now he's not fighting the guy he was supposed to fight. And now he's bubbling up to 154, which I think makes sense for him if, in fact, he was overworking himself and getting down to a weight just for a moment in time that he should have never, ever gotten to. But it makes me wonder what exactly is going on with Virgil Ortiz. And I'm being honest with you. And I've done several videos on him. And I'm concerned. I was very concerned about him. But now it's like, Blair Cobb came out and said, that it could be more to the story. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's a fair conversation. Is there more to the story? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, only the fly on the wall knows. And these individuals, not just Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis, I'm just using their names because, we had somebody kind of take a dig at Stanionis, and we all know that there's been all kind of rumors about Virgil Ortiz. So I had to say, okay, people are saying these things about him, got my attention. They're not fighting. They're not fighting each other. They seem to have been okay with being out the ring. One's coming back in January. The other one, we don't know what he's doing. And I said, well, how have they performed? Have they done anything in the ring to make them look like they're not human? And I started thinking about their fights. And I'm like, yo, that shit Stanionis went through with Butev, that was next level. But Stanionis can fight, don't get me wrong, but that was a whole nother level, right? Of just taking abuse and pushing through it and then dishing it back out. With Virgil Ortiz, that fight with Mean Machine, and every fight he's in, the way he's able, it's like chopping down a tree, man. It's like you keep chopping and chopping and chopping and chopping. Where everyone else, the fatigue sets into the fatigue and muscle failure sets in, you just keep pushing. And it's amazing to watch. It's like, yo, how's he conditioned like that? It's just like when we watched Stanionis fight the other night. It was like, what the hell was that? And that's how I felt when watching Stanionis fight and watching Virgil Ortiz fight. Like, what the hell? Nobody will beat those guys. But I never once thought the possibility of anything, of foul play. When I saw Stanionis fight, I said, God, that's not normal. But some people say he's just got a good motor. And I believe that. But to see someone get in the ring and do something like that, to me, it's mind-boggling. So now it's like, I'm gonna be honest. When I watch all these different fighters and dominate the way that they do, I put a hairy eyeball on them now. I think about Juan Manuel Marquez and all his fights before that Pacquiao 4 fight. The man in there is amazing to watch him fight. Didn't seem like there was any foul play or nothing crazy. Knock people out, outbox people, counterpunch the hell out of everybody. But nothing really jumped out at me as, wow, that was different. That Pacquiao 4 fight, well, that was different, wasn't it? Then you find out he's working with Heredia. Makes you wonder. But if we never knew he was working with Heredia, that just would have left us all there like, damn. Wow, that was amazing. How'd he do that? But we wouldn't have been able to close the loop. We're working with that damn Heredia. Got to put a hairy eyeball on that. So now that we got some attention on guys who are, going inactive for a while, makes you wonder if it has nothing to do with the promoter, has nothing to do with the opponents not wanting to fight him. And maybe it has everything to do with the fighters themselves knowing there's some foul play going on. And I would think that it's fair to have that conversation about any boxer who is at the top of the weight division, and when I say top, like the top 10, right? Who's just all of a sudden fighting once a year. Yo, maybe these guys aren't fighting 3 times a year anymore. because they got to get that stuff out of their system. Nobody ever thought about that. And when they find out, hey, they turned down this fight. Oh, the money this, or the money that, or the location this, or I can't walk out first. Oh, the gloves. Oh, they still haven't solved Biggie Smalls' murder. You know what I mean? Like, always some goddamn excuse. But now it's like, yo, let's have a real conversation about the inactivity of fighters, maybe by choice. Because someone out there is hitting the cocktail. Now, I don't know. I haven't done enough research to come out here and piece together and deliver a really nice presentation to you to say, hey, this person, that person, hey, we need to look at this. This doesn't make sense. But I'm on the case. But I'm telling you right now, something just don't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And I think it's fair to ask these questions. Even the people who are talking about Deontay Wilder, the metal rods in his hand, right? That's how he has the bionic fist, and he hits hard with the right hand because he had surgery and they put metal rods in, and now he's basically hitting people with a damn crowbar. You know what, man? I don't agree with that. But it's a fair conversation because there's nothing wrong with just saying, well, why do you think that, man? Well, let's take a look at, see what the doctors say. Is there any benefit to punching power by having these metal rods in your hand? Is it just there to strengthen your hand? So, and the areas where the bones were broken and you had those fractures in your hand? Or by doing that, is it somehow giving it a type of reinforcement was making your hand even more dense and can really affect the impact of you hitting something? If that's the case, I think that would have been highlighted a long time ago. I don't think they would allow a fighter to come in the ring with the doctors do a surgery and now their hand turns into a brass knuckle, basically. You know what I'm saying? Damn crowbar. I mean, the bionic fist. But no conversations off the table, off limits and off the table on this channel. And I think it's good. And there are a lot of fighters that we need to sit back and look at and figure out what the hell's going on. Somebody was like, oh, Keith Thurman, that's it. If you're talking about everyone else, what about Keith Thurman? He hasn't fought. Man, Keith Thurman, damn wife. Keith Thurman ain't think about fighting. That man's wife came from, I think he met her in Japan. She from Nepal. He had to get the papers straight. That's a whole serious commitment. He married into a type of culture where family's everything. She wants kids. Keith Thurman got dough coming out of his ass. Keith Thurman ain't just coming back for nothing. Keith Thurman ain't on no goddamn juice. If he was on the juice, Keith Thurman wouldn't be suffering from the body shots the way he does. Keith Thurman would be out here knocking people out with one shot. As he bubbled up in competition, it was harder for him to get the one-punch knockouts. Okay, so hold your horses. Let's at least be practical here and try to be fair to these fighters. But when you come across a situation that doesn't make sense, I think you got to ask the question. And for me, I think we need to start taking a look at fighters pulling out of fights so that they don't get caught doping and just try to make sense of it, because especially if they get an opportunity presented to them and they turn it down for no reason. Oh, man, I'm not getting the money I want. I'm going to look at this other opportunity. Especially when fighters turn down a 3-for-1 deal or 4-for-1 deal. That's when you get 2, 3, 4 belts for one fight. You turn that down? Hey, I don't care what you say. That don't make you put a hairy eyeball on a boxer. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. 7 continents. I don't know, man. You got a mandatory defense of your strap, and you won't do it. Or you're mandatory in line for a title shot, and you won't take it. Just don't sound right, man. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.